What everyday skill becomes suspicious if you're too good at it? Recognizing faces. I was approaching the check-in counter of a hotel I didn't remember being in before when the desk clerk welcomed me by name. I was visibly startled. His coworker explained he's got a freakish memory. I checked later, I had been there 3 years before. In his job, with the thousands of faces he sees a year, that is a little disturbing. Being calm. People accuse you of being cold if you are not as agitated as they are. Shuffling cards. Him, wanna play cards? Me, sure. Gambit routine with lightning speed. Him, not for money, right? Not for money? It's always for money. Knowing where people keep items on their person. Friend will be looking for his keys or phone and I'll know what jacket pocket he left it in. It's worse if you can move things from one pocket to another without them noticing. It's better if you can move things from one pocket to your own pocket without them noticing. I once had a neighbor catch me while I was taking groceries out of my car and ask if I knew how to open locked doors as they locked themselves out by mistake. Went over to their door, took out a credit card, and shimmied my way in no more than 5 seconds. Probably was bittersweet for them. My boss locked herself out of the shop last week and I did this. We are getting new locks and a security system now. But if you had told her how easy it is a week ago, she wouldn't have given a shit. Seeing is believing. My in-laws only use one of those shitty door knob locks instead of their deadbolt, so I make a point of every time I come over I use a credit card to get in instead of my key. They still don't lock the deadbolt. Don't use a credit card. It can get ruined. Instead try a Dave & Buster's play card or some other shitty piece of plastic taking up space. Walking silently. It's always a good skill to have to be able to be quiet in a moment's notice, but do it too well, and you start appearing behind people and freaking them out. How long have you been there? Type things. My so's parents' house has hardwood floors that everyone just stomps around on. I don't like making noise when I walk, so according to them, I sneak around their house and scare them unintentionally sometimes. It's annoying with the floors in my house, since they always creak when I step. No matter how slowly, it will creak. If it's hardwood and there's a basement, find the places where the supports are under the floor. It will creak less. Being able to quickly convert between ounce and gram. I can easily convert $100 bills into grams. A couple of years ago I locked my keys in my car in a Walmart parking lot. I went in and asked if they could help me. 2 employees came out with a jimmy. The one guy made a bet with the other that he could unlock my car in under a minute. He then proceeded to unlock my car in 15 seconds. I told him thanks, you must have a lot of practice. To which he laughed and walked away. How much did he win from the bet? I don't remember. The only reason it stuck out in my memory is how quickly he opened my car and how smug he looked when he laughed at my comment. It's really easy to jimmy a car if you know what's inside to visualize. You're just hooking a bar. It's just if you don't know the interior it's basically impossible. Edit. Jesus Christ, my highest rated comment by magnitudes, and it's the one that paints me as a car thief. Someone give me a decent job so I'm not on Reddit half the time please. Eavesdropping. I just passively listen to other people a lot when I'm alone, even if I'm doing something else. It gets really embarrassing when you bring up information you heard from their conversation forgetting that you weren't involved, or when you laugh at a joke said by someone across the room. Edit. My previous grandma frustrated me. Genuine kindness. My father was such a good soul, and people were suspicious about his kindness sometimes. I had a boss who was pretty much Mr. Rogers. It took a while to get used to it. We still work with each other sometimes, and I still occasionally think he's being a sarcastic ass when he's definitely not. Tying a noose. At basic training I got tasked to help the drill sergeants create their haunted house battalion competition. Long story, my drill asked if anyone knew how to tie a noose, and I whipped out a perfect one in only a few seconds. He just looked at me and said, "Private. What the fuck?" I just googled that, and the smart result, I don't know what the name for the system is, was my country's suicide hotline. Huh, I got the same. That's actually kind of nice. I don't think it's really an everyday skill, but being able to tell somebody by the sound of their footsteps. When friends or family approach my door, I know who's about to knock. I love creeping them out by saying, "Come in, name here." You can tell a lot by the sound of footsteps. Who is it? Are they angry, happy, relaxed, drunk? Are they wearing shoes, heels, barefoot? Though I personally have a habit of tiptoeing everywhere. Tiptoers unite. Even if you're tiptoeing, I can still tell it's the tiptoer when they are approaching my door. The removal of stains. I like to use lots of bleach and get the you must be used to cleaning up the murder scenes. I like the smell of it. If I was cleaning up a murder scene, there are way better chemicals than bleach. I'm a bit disturbed that you know of better chemicals than bleach for cleaning up murder scenes. Does it make it any better that one of my friends has a doctorate in chemistry and another is a crime scene cleaner? You can't say that and then not suggest the better stuff. Sodium peroxide, especially for concrete. Chlorine bleach is terrible as it doesn't remove hemoglobin, so is still detectable with hydrogen peroxide. Now oxygen bleach is great, especially with hydrogen peroxide. The good stuff is the crime scene cleanup stuff. My friend says he isn't giving me the recipe, but supplied me with some. When I had blood all over my kitchen, the dog lost a fight with the cat over a bit of ham. He is okay now though, and it was so easy to clean with. Typing. I'm definitely going to say typing. I type at a little over 150 WPM. I've been repeatedly accused of faking it, which sounds funny, until it's your co-workers and boss saying it, calling your work into question. Edit. Holy crow. Thanks for my most upvoted comment. To answer a couple questions, I'm a writer. I use a QWERTY keyboard and I've been typing for a minimum of 3 hours a day for the past 16 or so years. My typing speeds have been measured in varying tests for work and school, the lowest coming in at 138 about 4 years ago, and middling out about 6 months ago at 154. The highest I've scored on any reliable test was 157 last year. Typing speeds like mine aren't all that uncommon. Certainly not as much as they used to be. Nothing special, I just type a lot. I find it much weirder that people find fast typing unlikely. It's kind of creepy chatting with someone like that through him. I spend like 15 seconds deciding how to phrase and typing out "Did you like that one movie that came out last week?" And about 5 seconds later they respond with, "Yeah, it was better than I expected. I mean, it still wasn't the greatest movie I've seen, but I guess I'd recommend it to someone who likes that genre." It's like I'm talking to a bot. I might be that bot guy. To be fair though, it's just as annoying when the other person takes 5 minutes to type okay. I used to be a dispatcher for home hearing fuel in Juneau, Alaska, and when I meet people I'd say, "Oh, you live such and such street." I'd get an uncomfortable silence from them and have to tell them we deliver your oil. I work. Former garbage man here. Yup. Strike up a conversation with someone at a bar once who I absolutely fucking hated as a customer. These rotten pieces of shit would throw food and refuse straight into a can that I couldn't put on a tip, meaning I have to pick up and dump 200 lbs of bullshit 6 feet in the air and dump by hand. As soon as I heard his last name I repeated the first and his address. That asshole knew. He knew. He had seen me throw that goddamned can into the middle of his yard on more than one occasion, when I had rotten garbage juice running down the back of my neck because he was too lazy, stupid or cheap to use a fucking bag. I asked him politely to use a goddamn garbage bag or two and left it at that. And he did. Edit wanted to add, I'm a former garbage man. That job is hell. At least he started using a garbage bag. It drives me bonkers that people don't do that. Remembering things about a person from a few months/years ago when the person herself can't remember about it. You just look like a stalker and it's frustrating. I totally understand. People always think I'm a creep because I remember almost everything about them after meeting, even if we met years before. I was once hitting it off with a girl I knew from high school at a bar. She didn't remember me, and I just knew who she was, like I was aware she existed. So I said, "Oh, I remember you from high school." And that was apparently the weirdest thing she'd ever heard, and it just killed the mood for her. Sorry, I remember that you existed. I'm such a creep. Edit. People are seriously grasping at straws to try to explain what happened to me. You weren't there. You don't know the context. We were talking about high school because it was already established that we went to the same high school. She was just weirded out that I remembered her and she didn't remember me. There is no deep explanation for it. Hey Sarah, wow, you never wore that blouse on a Tuesday before. Picking up on small details and remembering them for months. My friends are always like, how did you possibly remember that? I hate that. People ask me a question and I'm like, you asked me the same thing last week on Monday and the week before on Wednesday. You wore a black shirt that day and we discussed politics over lunch, which was a steak, but it's quite selective. There's a lot I don't remember. This is near identical to me. Another thing is that my brother and I both mumble a lot, so sometimes it's almost easier for me to understand someone mumbling rather than when they enunciate. This leads to people just saying something to themselves and I'll catch it and respond and they're like, how the hell did you hear that?